Hello, it's David Allen Arnold with Lake Arrowhead Traffic. Unfortunately, we have a storm moving over our community today. I really hope that it's not a bad one. And if there's snow, I hope it's not much snow. That's the last thing we need right now. Speaking of which, I witnessed some unforgivable garbage in our community yesterday. I went to Highway 18 where no one was allowed to use the road except for the government. And I saw a few cars coming down the mountain. When I asked the people inside, they said that the conditions on Highway 18 were fine. They said some of the side roads and places are impassable and extremely difficult, but they said the conditions on Highway 18 were excellent as far as it goes. And what I witnessed was Caltrans kept a line of cars. I know a lot of them were full of food and medicine sitting there in the sun all day. They made them put on snow chains 17 miles from the snow. In the city of San Bernardino, they made everyone put snow chains on. They made them sit there all day, and then they told them, you can't use the road, get out of here. Guess what else? It gets worse. I saw a half dozen semi-trucks full of food and medicine and supplies for our mountain community told the same thing, to put snow chains on all their tires 17 miles from the snow and to sit there. One driver I spoke to, I said, how long have you been here? And he was driving a big Stater Brothers truck. He said, well, I've been here for 8 hours and I'm running out of time. My duty cycle is only so many hours, and at a certain point, I'm going to have to take my snow chains off and turn the truck around and leave. And that's what happened to all of the grocery trucks that I saw yesterday. The absolute brain-dead way that our government is handling this crisis is unforgivable. Everyone who had a hand in what I just described yesterday should be ashamed of themselves. If you're an executive at Caltrans or the state government, you need to stop telling minimum wage workers to turn around food and medicine that are trying to get up to a community that has been starving for a week. You get off your ass. You get yourself down to that checkpoint. You have a member of your staff stand there with an iPad and you find out where each vehicle is going and you find out what is on board. And then you look at the up-to-date map of which roads have been plowed. And let me tell you something. If the grocery trucks must wait, they must wait. But you turn around and you coordinate with the county. We pay the sheriffs. We pay the road plow crews to do this. You coordinate with them to get those roads cleared to the grocery store. You prioritize that. You don't just tell thousands of tons of food and medicine to get lost because you control the road and you're not allowing anyone to use it, even though it's passable. That's not even the worst thing I heard yesterday. I furthermore heard that the Sheriff's Department of San Bernardino County sent their helicopter to tell civilian helicopter operators who were volunteering their time and equipment to bring food and medicine to the mountain. The roads are closed, okay? Nothing gets up the mountain except for those helicopters. And they had the audacity to tell those civilian volunteers not to land their helicopter on the mountain. And then they hunted down the rest of the helicopters and told them they weren't allowed to fly. Shame on every single person who had a hand in that. Shame on you, sitting in a taxpayer-funded $3 million helicopter, flying back to your comfy base down in San Bernardino Mountain in San Bernardino City and telling people who are trying to help that they're not allowed to help after your government allowed the roads to become unpassable. And now the only people who are able to bring food and medicine to the mountain, you're telling them to get lost? Shame on you. How dare you? If you have a $3 million sheriff's helicopter, your job is to get in there and to help it happen. You make it safe. You send your ground units to that place. You have them clear a helipad so that food and medicine can be brought in to help the people, some of whom have been without food or medicine for over a week now. Now let's talk about what you can do here. Lake Arrowhead Traffic is a public group. There's an important distinction on Facebook. Most of the mountain groups are private. Anything that is shared, a picture, a video, a story, cannot be shared outside of those groups. It can only be shared within the group of people in that group. Okay? Anything shared here on Lake Arrowhead Traffic can be shared across Facebook, which has over 1 billion users around the world. It can be shared anywhere. It can be sent as a text message, as a hyperlink. Okay, so if you see a picture or a video of someone climbing through a window, as I saw today, to try and get food, you share that picture. You share that video. You put it on your Facebook. You email the link to people. Let other people know what's going on here. If you're struggling, if you're out of food and medicine, please share your stories here. Let people know what's going on, because in the city of Los Angeles, the weather's fine. Okay, they don't even know that anything's wrong up on the mountain. So it's really important to get that information out there. Special thanks to Ron Chalfant, who provides our weather forecast you see here. Unfortunately, like most people, Ron is struggling right now to clear snow, to help his neighbors, to make sure everyone around him has food and medicine. So he's had to suspend the Lake Arrowhead, or the Lake Gregory Weather Group. So please be patient with him. Let's all send Ron some love, because that man spends 4 hours a day for free helping us by creating a custom tailor-made weather forecast for every elevation and all of our communities on the mountain. Also, shout out to all the churches who are volunteering to help people to get food and supplies. I'm very sad to say that yesterday we had to smuggle food and supplies and some snow shovels through the Caltrans barricade on Highway 18 up to a church in Crestline. Shout out to the Jubilee Church in Crestline. And I've already heard from people who were able to get some of that food in that area. The churches are a very important place where we can go to for help, and we can also go to offer help. If you're able-bodied and you want to help people who may have less than you have right now, please find your way to one of these churches. They're very important because the churches are full of people who meet once a week to worship and pray together. They all know each other. They're connected. They know who has food and medicine. They know who doesn't. They know who needs certain supplies. They know the road conditions. And that is a wonderful place if you have the resources to go to a church, speak to the people there, see what you can do to help them, even if it's just clearing the snow from their parking lot so they can set up a table. Please do that. And I really want you to start reaching out to our elected representatives. There is a shocking disconnect right now between the authorities, the politicians, and the situation on the ground. And that gap needs to be closed, and quickly. So if you're seeing a problem, if you're sitting in a line of cars trying to bring food and medicine up the mountain and you're simply not allowed to use the road, then it's time to let your elected representatives hear from you. Someone in authority has to come out and start to manage these problems and get them fixed. Don't just let cars and trucks full of food and medicine sit in the heat of San Bernardino, unable to come up the mountain and help the people who need it. And to these, I see in the comments, I see you guys, the stay off my mountain crowd. Well, I'm glad you got electricity. I'm glad you got food and medicine. I'm glad you're a mountain native who knows everything and has no problem with what's going on right now. But you hear me loud and clear. When you tell people to stay off the mountain, stay down in the city, guess who you're talking to? You are talking to families who live around you. You're talking to Airbnb guests in the homes around you who haven't had food and medicine for over a week. I know people have gotten down Highway 18, and I know some of them were sitting in that line of cars yesterday that was told to pound sand, and their car was full of medicine, food, and supplies for their families, for their neighbors, for your neighbors. So you remember that. It is not necessarily that every person that's coming to the mountain is coming to your street. So I'm sorry if your street hasn't been plowed, but guess what? Some of the roads have been plowed. And the people who are strangling our community at these roadblocks on these highways, they need to start to look very carefully at who's trying to come up the mountain, where they're trying to go, and if it is passable, they need to be allowed to go through. And I don't want to hear that the big problem is disabled cars on our roads. Someone needs to start towing them, okay? We've got to get these roads cleared, whatever the problems are. I don't care if a hole opens up on Highway 18. We have got to start to be transparent about what is going on, what are the road conditions, and if there's a hole in Highway 18, we need that sucker filled. That is what a state of emergency means. It means that all stops get pulled out. It means that all of the resources we've all paid for in our taxes come to solve the problems so that people can, yes, get off the mountain. This BS of no one's allowed to go up or down Highway 18 when it's passable is just that. Okay, we pay taxes so that that road got paved. We pay taxes so that that road gets fixed. And the state of emergency means that whatever is in the way, I don't care if it's a truck that got sideways and slipped on the ice, that needs to be solved. I'm sick and tired of seeing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds of equipment going up Highway 18. And then all of the little people who those machines are supposed to serve are told to pound sand and they're not allowed to use the road. That is BS. It is time for the people in a position of authority, whether you are a state senator, whether you are a Caltrans manager, whether you are an elected representative in San Bernardino County, and if you are the helicopter unit at the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. Your role right now is to lead, to follow, or get out of the way. Thank you very much. Let's roll.